Hey, everybody. I know you've been waiting for this one all week. We've got Jaguar right live and uncensored doing a Q&A. Over 1,000 questions have already come in. I apologize. There's not enough time to fit them
Oh
all
my
in.
God.
People are going to be putting questions in the live. People are fascinated by you, Jaguar. But before I hand it over to the viewers' questions, I've got one for you. And that is the Diddy case just a
Sure.
slither of what's really going on in Hollywood and high up in the music? And huge thank you for doing this.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's the distraction. It's the same distraction it was to cover him and his cohorts when they did this to Robert Kelly. I find it interesting when these groundbreaking moments happen and they select who they want the bad guy to be, that nobody's paying attention to. All of the people that were working with them are ducking away while we're focused on this one person. Me Too has been auspiciously quiet during this time, and they were so vocal for Robert Kelly. And I've always asked the question. I even had a little hashtag that got shadow bananaed, but it was Me Too missed who? And now we're finding out. Isn't that fabulous?
Could you apply that hashtag to the Epstein case? And do you see parallels of the cover-up side of it?
Absolutely. Well, the thing is how can you not see parallels when these are all people who have been proven to not only spend time vacation and do events together, but do business together, make money together, create bank exchange, infrastructure together. Birds of a feather flock together. I just don't understand how people are so easily distracted to only look at one person and not look at it all. That's the problem with Americans. And that's why I have to say, salute to the Associated Press for keeping people in the loop as much, because the truth is, I spend more time listening to international news than I do the news in America because it's so orchestrated. And now, with AI being such a big part of the way people are communicating, especially large corporations and industries, we can't even say how much of it isn't completely programmed.
Yeah, it's the same here. So sadly, do you think that with Epstein, we would classify him as like a mid-level manager? It didn't go up the ladder. It all got suppressed. Do you think the same will happen with Diddy, or do you think
He's
they will
definitely
go up
an
the ladder?
underboss. Well, the thing is there are efforts of people that I talk to and that I coordinate with and that I'm now, I would say, collaborating. The work I do is for God and God alone, but I do collaborate with a lot of people. And all of us see that in this wrinkle of time, if we don't start pushing that floodlight to cast a greater light so we can really see what's in the shadows, this is just going to happen again. The truth is, if they had have looked at the Diddler, if they had have looked at the Jigga Man, if they had have looked at some of these other collaborators that he has in his stable, if they had looked a little closer at that, we might not have needed to do this. We could have handled it all back then, which is why I say Me Too missed who? Because there's no way, with everything we're finding out about Diddy and everything that's being exposed in the criminal case and the civil cases, there's no way Me Too didn't bump into him. These people were sloppy because they were protected. The question is, who was protecting them and why were they protected for so long?
My question is, why was his protection dropped? So it's got to
I'm putting a lot of responsibility on our government because I think it's time for people to start acknowledging that you can't have this kind of mass coordinated criminal organization operating so openly in the public without the government either not knowing or wanting not to know. There's no way. There's no way these amount of crimes can continuously keep happening and nobody is saying, there's this new case and people were questioning the young woman. I believe it was in Florida. She was from Northern California. I'm not sure what her name, Ashley or something like that. But she's being represented by Ariel Kidd. And she was talking about, how there was already a police report about the SA and the DV and the, rugging with the pharmaceuticals. It was, that police report was made by a witness. A witness saw her running out of the house, terrified and traumatized. So much so that she called the police to file a police report for what she witnessed. And she saw a car speed away, a black SUV with tinted windows. And it was stated that the reason why the girl didn't want to give the name was because it seemed like the police just weren't interested in believing her. A stranger called, not her. And even if you didn't want to believe her, even if it sounded crazy, why was there no one there to see that she was traumatized enough that she needed to be taken to a hospital to get a grape kit, to have whatever injury she had documented so there would be evidence? I'm sick and tired of the police remixing police reports and allowing predators to go free. Like, their job is supposed to be to protect the public. But as we continue to look case after case after case, a good share of these cases are saying they went to the police and the police weren't interested, said there was nothing they could do. They're not protecting and serving the public. They're protecting and serving apparently people that hand them envelopes in parking lots, in cars, or right outside the interrogation room so that the witness can see that they're being bought off, so they know when they leave there, nothing's happening. Now, if the police were doing their jobs, we might have found out a lot more of this a lot sooner, and it would have forced the feds to take a closer look a lot earlier. The police are just as much to blame, in my opinion. And now we have Kamala Harris, and they're talking about the Black vote and all of this. Are you going to do something for these Black American victims who were ignored by the people that you say you want to defund because they're racist? What about just derelict? How do you see a woman traumatized saying that she's just been SA'd and you don't take her to a hospital to document it, to see what's in her system? We have to stop being so gullible.
Yeah, we've interviewed dozens of survivors, and it seems that they're just not a priority of the police. Do you think that's because the police is all about revenue generation and there's nothing in it for them?
Absolutely. And the truth is, saying defund the police, that's not killing their main salary. Because their main salary is the money they get off books, allegedly. See, they just want the access.
A lot of people, Jaguar.
My uncle was a chief of police. And he had no choice but to resign for very dubious reasons. But he was the one that taught me the best criminal is a cop. And I've known that to be true about many police officers.
A lot of people are asking about your safety, Jaguar. With you becoming so high profile and outspoken, how are you handling that?
Every day is a new day. And God keeps giving me new days. I stopped worrying about people who were looking for my end. I'm looking for my own end. You know, my goal is to do what God asked me to do. And that job, while I'm doing that job, I know I'm going to be here when my job is done. And, then we'll see what happens. But I really don't take the time to allow what people want from me to be greater than what I want for myself. They want me gone, and I want every victim out front. We'll see who wins.
People are asking, based on your life experience, how did you learn so
Mhm.
much? How did you get so much insight into what's been going on with these elites?
Because I was there, I was involved, and I saw everything, and I was just as terrible as every last one of them. You know, when I first went viral back in 2020 and I started speaking out when my brother, not biological, but my brother in spirit and in God, Malik B, in Militant from the Roots, one of the original founding members, when his legacy was being snubbed. And I've later come to find out that allegedly he had been sacrificed. And this was all during the heat of when the C-19 pandemic thing happened. And so people were allowing a lot of things to be swept under the rug. I started speaking out on his behalf. They threw his Grammy in the trash. His mother never even existed. I made sure she got it. I had no choice but to speak up. And I told everyone from the very beginning, I was just as bad as every last one of them. You have to be there. They don't want you if you're clean. How can they blackmail you? They don't want you if you're out and proud. How can they blackmail you? See, everything is to keep people in line with the agenda. Nobody's asking questions. Why, with all of these people that are listed as sex workers on record, in evidence, why was there so much pharmaceutical present? I can tell you right now, as a dominatrix, I signed up to do really strange things for money. And I have. I was S&M, B&D. I was into some dark stuff. I got to see human beings in a way that most people don't get to see them as their true selves. The things that people want, the things that people want to do, the fantasies that they want you to create with them that they know if anyone in real society ever found out about, they would hang and quarter them and run them out of town. See, I know that world. You want to know what's crazy about that world?
Yep.
Up until about 4 years ago, when he finally stepped away from the bench, there is a judge in Philadelphia where I could walk into his courtroom. And if I put my hand like this or this, it would decide who was either going to win or lose their case
Wow.
because of the stuff I got on him.
Wow.
See, I was hired to do that, to gather that information. I was hired to film him. I was hired to record him. I was hired to do all of that. So when there was someone that they wanted a case dropped or dismissed, all I had to do was walk in the courtroom. That's it.
Wow. Wow.
Because, see, I knew what he was like under that robe, and I knew exactly what he was like when he wasn't on that bench. I could tell you how many times he would ask me, whip me harder. I just sent an innocent man to jail. I don't deserve to live.
Holy shit. You got a question from Rob
So,
Pegler.
absolutely.
Question from Rob Pegler in Arizona. And he's asking, How
Mhm.
long do you think the feds were aware, and how long did it take for them to build a case against Diddy?
I believe they've always been aware. I believe in my heart, and I believe it to be true, that Sean Combs and Sean Carter are both government informants and have been. They know they do these things. They know they've been doing these things. See, they were just never supposed to get caught out loud where the police can't just cover it all up. See, he went wrong when he went against that liquor company, and he demanded that for all of his evil deeds, he finally be considered an equal partner. He forgot his skin color. It doesn't matter how many white men you lay with, you're still black in America. And you don't get to call those boys out. See, people aren't really looking at when Diddy's troubles started happening. He became vulnerable with that lawsuit with that liquor company when he demanded an equal share. Kind of like how when Bill Cosby, after all the money he made for NBC, he demanded his equal share. And then here come
Mm.
all the stories and all the lawsuits. It's always the same game. They don't do anyone different. You step out of line, they wrap your hand. I think what the elites really didn't count on is that once they wrapped his hand, that he was going to be there to gouge him on the side. Because people have been waiting for Diddy. They've been waiting for their piece. And then you have the opportunist, like your so-called best friend, who has like this odd habit of making friends and making memories and making money and making victims with people, and just keeps on sliding away in their demise and then assuming all of their power and control. And I'm talking about Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter has been very not so a good friend in the diddler's downfall. He's been very delinquent, and now all of a sudden he's demanding in-person visits and he can't get them. I wonder why. I wonder why they don't want you two to speak in person. I wonder why. Why did it take